Well, we're finishing up on lesson 54. Roman emperor puts his faith in Jesus. Quite a lesson, isn't it? A lesson to remember and to take note of. Well, we ended up with Constantine dying at the age of 63. So what would happen then? Would Rome still be Christian? Well, let's find out a little bit what happens. Well, first of all, 3 of his sons end up taking over as the Roman emperor. Constantine II, Constance the first, and Constantius the second. So, well, they all believed similar, and they believed in Christianity, and they walked like their father walked. But then what would happen? Julian, his nephew, would take over. In 361, Julian was the last of his family to serve as emperor. Emperor Julian. Well, Julian, he didn't really like Christianity too much. In fact, he had been studying Greek philosophies. Remember, like Aristotle and Plato and Socrates. And then he thought, let's go back to paganism. They were like worshiping, pagan gods back then. And so he became a Hellenistic, remember the word Hellenistic means Greek, pagan. So now he wants to take the Roman emperor back to paganism? How gross is that? So he does. And he is called Julian the Apostate. What's an apostate? It means a rejecter of the faith. So whenever you hear that word apostate, not apostle, but apostate, that means they rejected the faith. He didn't really persecute Christians, though, but he withdrew his favor from Christianity and his protection from Christians. He even started a pagan church throughout the empire to compete with Christianity. But this influence failed. In 363, just 2 years after he had become emperor, he died. He was the last pagan emperor because the next emperors, we should say, became Christian. In 391, Emperor Theodosius I made paganism illegal in the Roman Empire. So, we're going to go on and think about these things as we go through history. But now, over 360 years after Jesus lived, Christianity, once illegal, now was the officially accepted religion in the empire. So now everyone would become Christians. However, would this be totally a good thing? Well, there are some problems involved in all of this. It made Christianity easier to practice, but it really weakened the church. Some leaders allowed the government to control and enforce Christianity. And there was much compromising with the world coming in. And many people were forced to be Christians. Would that be good? That they were forced to be Christians? This made Christianity a place for people who really weren't believers. They just said that they were Christians because that was the whole Roman Empire was Christian. But they were not true believers. They were not born of the Spirit. They hadn't been born again. They were just following a new religion. But Jesus is not just a new religion. Jesus is the way and the truth and the life. And the only way that you could be saved is to believe and to receive his gift of salvation. It's a spiritual awakening. And many of the people in the church were not awakened by the Spirit of Jesus. They were going to church because that's what the government said to do. And that was the norm of the culture now, is to be church people. And to go to church became earning your way to heaven somehow. That they thought if they went to church and did all this, that they would go to heaven. Not that Jesus died and rose again. And died for our sins and rose again. They just took it for granted that that's what their religion was. And so, like I said, there were many people that did not have true faith. This way, the enemy found a way into the church, another way to persecute the church. And we'll find later on that the religious church would persecute the true Christians. The enemy doesn't give up, as the days pass. Yes, yeah, he figures out ways to get, but his ways, they become common, and we get used to what the way he does. And one way is compromise. He wants us to compromise with the world and let the world in and let the world take over what they believed. And that's just what happened. Kind of sad. Real sad, really. Because, I know Constantine in the beginning. Oh, he just wanted to change the world for Jesus. And that's what we want to do. We want to change this dark world and bring the light of God, light of Jesus, the good news, the gospel to everyone that we know. So let's talk about our lesson just a little bit as we go back. Yes, the Roman Emperor Constantine puts his faith in Jesus. If you ever know about Constantine, you know that he put his faith in Jesus. This happened where? At the Milvian Bridge. Remember, at the Milvian Bridge, that's where he was being attacked by the other guy that wanted to be the Emperor, Max. But what happened at the Milvian Bridge? Constantine, he had a dream or vision about Jesus. And then he put crosses on their shields. And then he looked up at the sun and he saw a cross. Well, they all saw this cross above in light, like a part of the sun, He believed that the war, that battle would be won by him because Jesus was bringing him through. That was at Milvian Bridge. Then the edict. He declared a proclamation that Christians would no longer be persecuted in the Roman Empire. How amazing is that? And then he went to church and he saw the church was a little having debates and everything about Jesus being God. And he got the bishops together and they declared a Nicene Creed. Basically set the standards of Christianity, and that yes, Jesus was divine. Jesus was God and Jesus was man. It set those Christian foundation, those Christian doctrines in the Nicene Creed. Constantine said, that looks pretty good. And then he decided to put together another capital, a Christian city, and they were going to name it New Rome. And they named it Constantinople. And it would become a very influential city in the future until the Muslim Turks, the Ottoman Turks, take it over and change its name to Istanbul, Turkey. That's what it is today. Although underneath there are many, many archaeological relics of the time of Constantinople. And then, of course, never forget St. Helena, Constantine's mom. She went back to Jerusalem and said, hey, we need to fix this place up. Well, not only Jerusalem, but Israel. And so she gathered and said, yes, we as the Roman Empire should go back and find these places where Jesus walked, where Jesus died, where Jesus rose again, where Jesus ascended into heaven, where he was born, all these things. She wanted to everyone to know, we can have pilgrimage and go to Israel and see these things. Of course, we have a little chapel next to another church there called St. Helena's Chapel in Jerusalem. Yep, so I hope you remember all of these. But just remember, if you ever go into secular history, what they debate on is, was Constantine a good thing? Did he do a good thing or did he do a bad thing? How can they do that? Some even say it might have been better if if Rome would have just stayed with the pagan gods. Don't let that fool you. And yes, Christianity, the sad thing, it did change. But the thing is, the remnant of God still came through. True Christians still came all the way, even to today. So Christianity survives through the Roman Empire. How sweet is that?